I do not believe in black tax. Why is it a tax? It really annoys me because other people get to have dreams. Other people get to record music. But I cannot be going to F&B and taking out a loan in my name. Are you my elder? Because if you're my elder, I come to you for wisdom and help with resources? Or do we need to renegotiate our relationship? Hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for subscribing, for liking, for commenting. It means so much. Basically, my channel is all about mental health and lifestyle, and this week we're going to tackle a topic that is highly sensitive, and I just want to make sure that it is understood that our understanding of this subject is grounded in mental health. Okay, it's not about shaming a group of people. It really isn't. Today we are going to talk about black tax. And before we get started, I just want to explain quickly to those who may not know what black tax is, what it's all about. Black tax is this idea or this practice of young black working individuals, some professional, some skilled, some general workers, and they take their earnings either from their salary or from their side hustles, and they use it to help extended family. By extended family, what I mean is that people who are not your spouse or your biological children, right? So it's tough, but as adults we often move out of our homes and start new households with our life partners. That's usually the trend. So even if you don't start a household with someone else, you are technically a household of one. Like if you go to school and get a graduate program and you live alone in a flat, maybe in Rosebank or wherever, you are a household of one, right? But under black tax, you are an extension of your original household. So that's what black tax is all about. I do not believe in black tax for many reasons, but we'll get into that. Okay, so when I was at school, we learned about culture, social psychology, and all of those things, and it became apparent that in South African black communities, and I mean this is even for foreign nationals who are of African descent, they exist in a collectivist culture. So what that means is the needs of the collective supersede the needs of the individual, and I guess in some cases the needs of the collective of households in an extended family supersede the needs of individual households, right? Let me make an example. When I was growing up, my mom had a decent job and she worked for different government institutions and agencies. She later moved to academia. My mom had a degree in social work, and for people of that time, it wasn't all too common to get a tertiary education. And this happened because her father had a decent job. He drove trucks around the 70s and the 80s. So his ability to make a life outside of his home village here in Attridgeville allowed his daughter to do the same thing, right? And when my mom was working, she would often help this person and that person. It was small amounts of money because back then the cost of living was a lot lower. 90s, early 2000s. I think maybe then it worked. But obviously in the past 5 years, food has become really expensive, and it's not just food, it's just the entire cost of living problem. And what we're finding is that it's getting more and more difficult to be this person who can help other people. So black tax is rooted in the idea that if you ascend, if you go up the social ladder, you need to bring people with you. So you lift as you rise. And I think the philosophy behind black tax is actually quite beautiful because it's relying on the kindness of those of you who made it despite the oppressive system of apartheid, despite the gender disparity, despite so many things. So in a way, it's like you're a hero for this group of people. And because of the TV we watch and the stories we read, it's nice to have a hero, someone who saves the day. But actually, this is where I start dropping bombs. Actually, individuals should be their own heroes, because what I'm finding is that these heroes are the ones coming into the consulting room with all this stress and all this anxiety. And can you imagine losing sleep because you didn't pay your mother's DSTV bill, or your sister needed something for her kid and you can't afford it? And it doesn't really matter where you work, but it does. But most people don't have spare change, and in a world that is so politically unstable, with load shedding and with, people being unemployed, you feel like you need savings. I can definitely understand that need. And people are generally different. But this is my point. Why is it a tax? Why is it that when I say to people, I can't do this thing is not in my plans, this thing is not in my budget, it seems like I'm being selfish and mean? But when I am in times of need, do those people that I help, do they help me? And that's really what it's about, reciprocity. And I understand that some people cannot help financially because they're unemployed or they don't make a lot of money. But do you know the pain of hearing someone say that, I help my mother so much. I help her with this. I tried to buy her stock to try a business, and she doesn't even check on me to say, hi, my child, how are you? So I genuinely believe black tax can create entitlement in a lot of people, and even in parents. I'm really gonna say it, like, maybe people feel that they have failed to become more than what their circumstances allowed them to be, and so let me have a child. At least if this child is successful, I'll be successful by extension. And to have children is an individual thing. It's a human right. No one is more qualified than the other person. But it really makes me wonder that if I'm losing sleep over the fact that maybe I have a sibling, she's got 3 kids, all different fathers, they living with one of my aunts who's also not in the best financial situation. The fathers are not involved, hey? Just by the way. And this month I was expecting SARS to refund me maybe, 7,000 rand, and they only refunded me 2.9, so that's like a 4.1 shortfall. And it's like, oh damn it, I was supposed to take this money and pay for 2 kids to go to camp, and now I can't do it. And maybe you haven't made that commitment yet. You haven't said it to your sibling that, hey, I want to help you with this. But obviously you're going to feel a sense of distress and anxiety. And it's not cool, guys. Another thing that pisses me off about black tax is that, if we're being honest, in collectivist cultures, how can I put this? I don't want to offend people, but I have to offend people. Black tax benefits men, and it really absolves them of their responsibilities. It makes people confident enough to have children and make promises to their baby mama, girlfriend, wife, and then, because they are not inherently financially independent the way all adults should be, just by the way, now it becomes that older sister or that older brother's problem, and it's like this person has their own children and their own spouse, and it's really unfair. And what irritates me is the fact that people can say, well, our relative Adam, let's call him Adam, our relative Adam doesn't work, he doesn't have a stable job, so because of that, poor Adam, he doesn't have to contribute anything for us, the working people, to contribute. But it really makes me mad, because the moment Adam has money, it's not like he's going back to these people who helped him and he says, here you go, here's just a small gift. Sometimes I'll see Adam drinking, smoking, buying expensive clothing, making plans to save up for a car. And this is what I'm saying, that like in this system of black tax, it seems like other individuals benefit more than other individuals, and the individuals who are perceived not to have money, and in some cases genuinely don't have money, they are given space to have their own dreams and goals. You know, like, okay, I don't have to worry about contributing to this thing. I do need to worry about getting a driver's license, which is fair, you know. But if you look at it, if you look at the cousin who is maybe a few years older, has a better job, that person can't even focus on getting a license because that person has to help. And it just drives me crazy, guys, because we don't help each other. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm not trying to get into your business, but like, it doesn't matter what family it is. There are some people who are being favored more than other people in terms of resource allocation. And it sucks, but it is what it is. And if I can make an example, if I have 10 Rand and it costs me 9 Rand to run my individual household, do you know how crazy I'll seem if I offer 3 Rand to my mom or to my aunt or to my grandma? It's crazy, because now I have a 2 Rand shortfall, and it's not like I can go back to those people and say, hey, can you borrow me $2? And this is not the same as loaning people money. This is not the same as having cash flow. This is about an expectation that allows other people to take without receiving. And I know that not everyone in a family can have the same job and earn the same amount of money. But we really need to think clearly about what kind of help can we really give people. We should be helping people from our change. And you know what? Not a lot of people have change. Not a lot. And even in the events of this change, like I know with men, maybe they need to save up because they need to buy a house. And maybe you're putting away 20,000-30,000 Rand because you want to go to Turkey, or you want to, like, do you understand me? Maybe in a family's eyes, you going to Turkey is not as important as someone's child going to preschool. But like, children have parents. And in the case where children don't have parents, where children are orphaned, it makes a lot of sense for a person to take those children in and they become that person's expenses. But it doesn't make sense to me. And you know, I might be wrong. It doesn't make sense to me that a 24-year-old is helping a 23-year-old with large sums of money. And it goes back to this thing about who gets to have what jobs and who earns what salary and. It is not anyone's fault that doctors make more than retail workers, for example. Maybe it's the system's fault, the government's fault. But in reality, we can't be mad at that doctor and say, yeah, you went to school, so you must help this person. It's not fair. Every person needs to learn how to live within their means and their budget. And it really annoys me because other people get to have dreams. Other people get to record music, and you know, he's gonna like get a job with his DJing thing, or like someone's gonna hire him in a movie, and like, we cannot build on top of someone's back. That's a system that will crumble. Okay, so these are my opinions about black tax. This is why I'm so passionate about this. Patients come into my office and they're very anxious, very depressed, very worried, and they feel like they're stuck. They're in this jail where, you know, you just have to help someone and you just have to do what you need to do. So I think from a mental health perspective, we can only thrive when we take care of ourselves. And That's the way it goes. And some people are more lucky than others, or more hardworking than others, however you want to frame it. Some people are more good, they're better at school than others. I understand that the system is unfair. It's really not cool. It sucks that out of 10 cousins, maybe 3 can kind of afford their own life. But we cannot punish the 3 cousins because of the 7 cousins. We cannot use individuals to make the system fair. We need to really reform how we engage in families. And I like this idea of burial societies or stokvels, because everyone contributes the same amount of money, and then at the end of the day you receive the same amount of payout. And even if people are not socio-economically equal, the benefits of that system are equal. And that's what I'm trying to say, that we can really do collectivist culture finance in a way that's fair for everybody. But I cannot be going to FNB and taking out a loan in my name for, 250,000 Rand, just because my father wants to purchase training materials and become, these guys who train people at companies and basically start a training company. And I don't want to start a training company. I moved out of my flat just to afford. I downgraded my lifestyle because I could see that what I make and what I need to live aren't corresponding. So I downgraded. I came back home. I've been paying rent at home. If they didn't want me at home, I was willing to move into a smaller place. You see, I was willing to downgrade my lifestyle. And my father, in this case, it's just an example, he didn't think of repairing his credit, or maybe selling off a few assets, or that car that maybe is in the yard that's really not helping anyone. He doesn't have to make sacrifices. I have to make sacrifices for him. And if the company fails, and companies fail, guys, it's me that's paying how much? It would be a lot of money, 4,000 or 5,000 Rand to FNB plus interest for the next 5 years. And I wouldn't even be given the platform because those are your elders. Respect your elders. So it's almost like we need to pick a struggle. Are you my elder? Because if you're my elder, I come to you for wisdom and help with resources. Or do we need to renegotiate our relationship? Because you don't need someone to use the word elder to respect that person. I respect people who pay me back. I respect people who have empathy for my finances. I respect people who budget. Like, if I have a cousin, for example, who suddenly receives a sum of money, let's just say 6,000 Rand, and it comes from a generous benefactor, like I don't know who, but you know what I mean. And this cousin isn't employed, and she's trying to be a good mom to her kids. She had a kid out of wedlock, but she's trying to give this kid a good life. And if this cousin comes to me and tells me, I've done ABC, not that she owes me, but like we're just chatting, and she's like, I used 3,000 Rand to buy stock from a wholesaler, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start supplying lunch boxes to kids in the area, and the other 3,000 Rand I used it for like necessities, versus someone who takes that 6,000 Rand, buys expensive shoes and clothes. Not to say people don't need clothes or shoes, but expensive clothes and shoes to show off, and drinks the rest of it. Who am I gonna respect? And this is what I'm trying to tell people, that how you use your money does affect other people, and people are watching. It's not as though we don't know, we don't see you, we understand. And families gossip. If you can afford an expensive car, but you don't want to take your child to an expensive school, it says something. Even if it's not my place to judge, and I really believe that it's not our place to judge. I know that all of us are thinking something in our heads. We're making some kind of judgment based on our values and our experiences, you know? So with black tax, I'm really against it. I don't think it's okay to be emotionally blackmailed into buying things that people don't need. People don't need DSTV. People do not need new clothes. Like, unless perhaps in extreme cases, you know? They don't need expensive clothes, that's what I mean. Even, like, what are you guys doing? And I get it because I was like you know? And I was so frustrated because I felt like I was being forced. When I stopped, it's not like anything happened. And if there are any consequences, they're more emotional. And people only respect people who have boundaries. And it sucks. It sucks that we're not naturally respectful people. We only respect people who say no, I can't, people who speak up, people who have opinions, people who are confident. But lucky for us, these are life skills we can learn. We can learn to be confident. We can learn to say no. We can learn to help people within a burdensome margin. So, like my example, I earn 10 Rand. It uses up about 9 Rand to run my household, including savings. And maybe my mom and my brother don't work. I can say to them, guys, for the next 12 months or 24 months until my brother graduates, I'm gonna give you 50 cents. Out of this 50 cents, you need to budget, you need to prioritize what you're gonna do with it. I'm not gonna tell you what you're gonna do with it, but I can't give more than that. And it doesn't matter if I'm living in a country estate. That's my choice with my money. It would matter if I took my mother's money, stole it from her, and used it to finance my lifestyle. No, this is money I work for. And like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, we shouldn't be in each other's business like that. We should respect each other. Just gonna check if it's still filming. Okay, we're having a good day film-wise. So yeah, Tompo guys, like, respect guys. You don't have to tell anyone how much money you make. You don't have to buy things you don't need. And I know people are gonna be like, oh, but no, in our ancestors' times, that was an organized culture with very specific rules that everyone had to follow. We don't have that now. Our culture has loosened. And if people want to tighten up that culture, they cannot do it off the backs of other people. You're okay with me drinking. Okay, you're okay with me having sex before marriage. Or even if you're not okay, you're not going to say anything about it. But suddenly you have strong opinions about money. It has to be across the board. And if you come from a really organized traditional family, it can make sense to pay this black tax because you can trust that these people, especially your parents, you know, you can trust that these people, when I'm down, they really help me. But if your parents are narcissistic and entitled, and they don't even hesitate, they don't even think twice about emotionally blackmailing you, those are people you don't have to worry about. And I know it sounds selfish, but people are admitted in hospital because of this issue. People are popping pills. People are drinking medication for these issues. People are using substances. It sucks. It sucks. I don't like what you South Africans are doing to each other. I don't like it. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's fair. And I hate that disproportionately, at least in my experience, it's the black women who have all these expenses, and black men get to live their life. And you know who's really clever in this whole system, or maybe lucky, but even her, is the black woman who marries a black man who's a provider. And even if he's not the best of providers, whatever money he makes, if he has to split that between his own children and other people's children, his children are going to be robbed of certain opportunities. It sucks that some people are born to parents who suck. It sucks. It really sucks. My father sucks. You know, I had a good mom, but she married a man who sucked. In a way, like, some parts of my childhood sucked. But I didn't die. I did not die. I survived the stuff that traumatized me. I went to therapy for. I'm still in therapy. I drink antidepressants. But I have a responsibility to take care of my mental health so that in the event that I have children, they are getting the best of me. I know we have a very deep fear of poverty, and trust me, I can understand why. It's not that I'm saying don't be scared or whatever, but we need empowered people. And sometimes when we're too quick to help each other, we really cripple each other. Like, you see, this is my issue. Like, most people are inherently selfish, and they have an entitlement that is not said with words but exists in their actions. Because I know there are people, like, genuinely speaking, I know people who are filling in Z83 forms, getting certified copies, and I mean, it's a schlep. Trust me, I know. Even when I applied for my first job for government, I couldn't understand why we couldn't email the stuff. And it really annoyed me. Lucky for me, really, I'm not even trying to be whatever. Lucky for me, I had a car to help me with these errands. But it didn't mean I don't do the errands. Everyone has to do errands. Everyone has to apply themselves. Even the sons of or daughters of CEOs. It's not like everything is just handed to you. Even rich people know this. Poor people know this. Middle class people know this. Okay, guys, so I've been going on, and as you can see, this topic makes me really angry and passionate because I feel like, a lot of my clients have a similar problem, and it's because they're good, considerate people. They know what it's like to be unemployed, and they want to protect other people from that experience of being unsupported and being cast aside. So here are my final thoughts about black tax. Communicate, add structures, talk to people about how you feel, and really watch how people react. Because if your family loves you unconditionally and they're there for you unconditionally, if you stop giving them money, they won't stop loving you. Another thing that I really want to emphasize about black tax is, as Africans, we really need to deconstruct our way of thinking, because here we are in this super modern world, and it's really tough because you don't want to feel like a sellout. You don't. Okay, guys, so that was my rant on black tax. But I think the one thing I want people to take away from this is the idea that our mental health is affected by the things happening around us, including black tax. And a lot of people are getting quite sick, quite worried, quite anxious about these things. And I think it's worthwhile to examine our lives. Like, I'm not saying we shouldn't contribute to family, but what if contribution to family is what's stressing us out? How can we reduce that? And you know what? It sounds really harsh, but there's this saying, and it sounds super insensitive. It says, "Ahona libitla la tlala," which basically means no one has ever died from hunger. And I think it's a little bit true in that if by some miracle you were to be exterminated off the earth, just a stray bullet or whatever, these people would continue surviving, even if their life would become significantly harder. But people who take time to improve themselves, upgrade on skills, save up, in the long run, those people really help their families. It's just if they start helping their families excessively too soon, they might end up with no savings or a lot of financial commitments, and by the time they get to their 40s, like, they have like all sorts of issues: hypertension, anxiety, stress, heart issues. So yes, guys, it's really important for us to encourage people to take care of their finances, for us to do the same. And yeah, it's really unfair, but we still have a responsibility to ourselves, and if you can spare some money, spare it. But thousands and thousands of rands every month. Like at the end of the year, it's as good as 30, 40, 50,000 rand. And for young people, I know they don't make that much money to be able to be parting with such money. And just a tip, rather put a set amount you're going to give every month, 1,000 rand, and they have to work with that figure. Otherwise, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And yeah, pray for me to get an iPad or something so I don't have to struggle like this, so my phone can only be for recording. And yeah, I'm really grateful for all the support, and like, comment, subscribe, please. And I hope to see you next week. Goodbye.